Yeah.
We come out of that and go back in.
Oh my days.
The other one's still there. It's supposed to be starting at 9.
Oh no, I've got one now. 9:30.
Oh!
There we are.
Yes, we're on. We are live.
We're on. Hello, we're back again.
Are we actually live?
I believe we are. I can see us.
Yes.
Oh, there. Look.
Yes, hello.
I
It's a
still
little time
can't.
delay, but we are online.
Refresh it.
So just got to wait for it. Hello, Charlie's back. Charlie's found us.
Charlie's found us. Charlie, can you hear us? Charlie, can you hear us? Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. As long as you two can see us and Charlie can see us, then I'm happy with that.
That's it.
Right. I don't think I'm still
Blame it on the weather.
Blame it on the weather. Right. I'll do the intro again then, shall I? Just in case people are watching this on delay. What's this? The fourth attempt? I think we've
like
tried
that.
At least.
I can hear, see, and it's not buffering. Hooray! Hooray! Right, hello in that case, and welcome to the 86th episode of the SheGulls podcast, the one and only podcast dedicated to Brighton Hove Albion women's football team. I'm your host, Duncan, and as always, I'm joined today by fellow Albion fans, Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
And by Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello.
And we are without Abby, sadly, tonight for pet healthcare reasons. So, thoughts and love, send those positive vibes out to Abby. Yeah. I'm sure she'll be back soon. And we are sort of secretly hoping that she'll be back for the West Ham game, because otherwise me and Claire are going to have to go on some sort of tandem.
Don't worry, mate. I'll get us there.
I was thinking, at Centre Parks, I have that bike with the little trailer behind.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can be in the trailer. I've always quite fancied being in one of those little trailers while someone.
Yeah, you keep fancying it, mate.
Yeah. It's never going to happen now at my age, but
I'm going in the car.
You never know. So yes, we have sort of postponed or had to temporarily postpone the podcast for technical difficulties, but we are back, I hope. So you should be able to see and hear us. Of course, we're talking about postponements because the game yesterday, of course, against Arsenal was postponed for a waterlogged pitch, I believe, officially. So the referee came out to pitch inspection. I think it was 2 hours before 12:30. They removed the covers so that he could carry out the pitch inspection, and sort of subsequently it was deemed not to be playable. I think perhaps, and this was a point made by Arsenal journalist Tim Stillman, who had a very sort of fair outlook on it all, that if the game had been kicking off at 12 or maybe even at 12:30, it probably would have, or perhaps could have gone ahead. But given the fact that they have to remove the covers 2 hours in advance to have a look at the pitch, it was then just only going to get wetter and wetter and wetter. So I think they obviously, made the decision on that basis. So I'll come to you first, Claire. How did you feel about the postponement? Did you sort of wake up in the morning, see the rain, and think, feel a little bit of trepidation about heading down to the stadium?
No, I mean, I wasn't that worried, to be fair. I just thought it's raining again. Just, that's grim. I didn't really consider postponement until we got there, and then we were kind of hanging around because we'd got there early, obviously, to make sure we got a parking space, because these matches are sold out and stuff. So we were there really early. I thought we'd go and have a wander around and greet the players as they arrived, and then they didn't. and everyone was kind of talking and was getting messages from their friends who work at the ground and things like that, who were like, oh, they're doing a pitch inspection. And so you kind of got an idea at that point. And I think by the time you got there, you're sort of thinking, this is not looking good. So, but ever the optimist, it's a 50-50, isn't it, with the referee? The referee could have gone, yeah, let's give it a go. And if it gets worse, we'll stop the game. But no, they obviously decided, let's not bother. So
yeah, and I know obviously we're going to come on to sort of the aftermath a little bit, and some people were taking issue with how long or how short it was in advance of the game. Like I say, we'll probably come on to that a bit more, but I do think it would have been worse if they'd started playing and had to abandon it mid-match.
Yeah.
you know, I think that probably would have been the ultimate kind of, you know, sort of, I don't know what the ultimate blow really, I suppose, would be to
Yeah,
have
I mean, it
fans
would
in
have
the
been
ground.
hard, wouldn't it? Mostly for us Brighton fans who had to travel to the ground, because that's what we do every week. But you know, all those Arsenal fans around Crawley that came would have been all right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You know, I must admit, I did make a point on one of my retorts on Twitter, to say that a lot of Albion fans do travel as well, and it wasn't meant as a sort of a dig back at Arsenal or anything. It's just simply, it's all about how inconvenienced they were. Again, which I think we'll come on to, but it's like, yeah, none of us, not none of us, but a lot of us don't live in Crawley either.
Yeah.
You know, even from where I am, which I consider myself relatively close to Crawley, it's still probably an hour and 10 minutes round trip at least.
Yeah.
So people who are further away, you know, got Abbey comes from further along the coast, the other side of Brighton. You coming from Hayling Island and going via to get Ben and stuff like that. So it wasn't like we popped down the road, oh, it's called off, oh, we went back home again. You know, it was it's an issue that affected everyone that was at the game.
Absolutely.
I just think we had more of a pragmatic outlook on why it was called off and why that was necessary, rather than kind of, waving our arms about and getting in a tizwas about it. Ben, how about you? Do you think I mean, ultimately it's the referee's call, isn't it, to decide not to play the game? But did you feel like, I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures of the pitch, or I know Anita Asante, I think, posted a little video of the pitch. You know, do you feel it was the right thing to do at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's obviously Crawley playing in League Two, but it's a better pitch than I think a lot of the League Two pitches. Certainly better than the pitch they've got at Grimsby, and they're in League One. If anyone saw the mud bath of the Grimsby Wolves game at the weekend. So I think, it's good. I don't know if it's a whatever G with the sort of nylon weave in it or anything, but it certainly doesn't drain like sort of pitches at the Amex and stuff do. So there's, the water's basically just been soaking in there. I think there's been one day this year where it hasn't rained. Even this afternoon, I was just about to go out for a walk, and the heavens opened for about 10 minutes, just because I think the weather suddenly realised it hadn't rained today. So quick, get here. So yeah, I mean, it's it kind of happens at these grounds. I think notably there were all the other WSL games were on. Some of the WSL 2s was postponed, but they were all at sort of places like Villa Park and Goodison Park and things, which obviously have got Premier League standard pitches. And notably Tottenham, who play at Leyton Orient, who are in League One. I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah.
West Ham play at Dagenham, who are in National League South, and London City play at Bromley, who are in National League, I think. So notably, those three teams were all away. So I think they probably would have been in a similar boat to us if they'd been home games.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's sad. I think they were saying that the goal mouths were kind of okay because they'd been covered up, but just the sort of the touch lines and stuff were really squishy and standing water and that kind of thing. And so it's the quality of the game if the ball doesn't move, just gets stuck in the water or whatever, but also the safety of the players, because if the pitch is going to have that much water on, then it's not going to be grip and whatever is going to be compromised, and so we don't want injuries happening. So I mean, as Claire said, we just sort of went around and stood there in the rain for some reason, sort of waiting at the stage door.
Just in case, they came out.
Just in case, and the players didn't come, and there were some Arsenal fans who actually, we were talking about this actually, weren't we? Because they obviously stand the away entrance, so they're kind of undercover. But I mean, they were obviously waiting for the Arsenal bus, and that didn't come either. So sort of more the later it got, the more inevitable it was, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because we've already got one. The Chelsea game has been moved to midweek after it was scheduled for the 15th but we've got to play it on the 18th because Chelsea are in the League Cup final. And now we've got another game that we've got to try and squeeze in. And obviously Arsenal have got, they've got things like the Champions League and stuff to think about as well. So they've got to squeeze it into their schedule and they're already one WSL game behind because they had to postpone their Leicester game because of the Champions Cup thing. So yeah, it's a shame, but it rains, it rains.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be. It can't really be helped. I mean, I know a thing that was sort of levelled, I think, by a few. I think now's probably about the time we can start talking about some of these Arsenal people who popped up in comments and chirped up on social media. One of the comments was, "This has happened twice to Arsenal." Yes, it has happened twice to Arsenal. Do you know how many times it's happened to all the other teams? It hasn't. So, I mean, we did have that frozen pitch last year, but that was for the FA Cup game.
Mm-hmm.
So in a league game, except for the two that have been postponed at Crawley, it hasn't happened to any other club. So it's not like, I mean, I don't know whether they think we're targeting them or what, but what are they actually suggesting, that there's some sort of sinister cabal going on that, that we get, don't let them play the game. I hope it rains because we don't want them to play Arsenal. What if it hadn't have rained?
Yeah.
It's not a very good plan, is it?
So many of them yesterday on social media, and I tried to make allowances because a lot of them are quite young.
Mm-hmm.
However, whiny, entitled brats. That is all I'm going to say about them. Literally, it's all about them. It hasn't affected anybody else. It's just Arsenal that are just picked on by everybody else, and how awful that Brighton should have made a statement earlier in the day to say that it might be postponed and blah, blah, blah. And Brighton have decided this. And it's just like, do you even understand the laws of the game?
Mm.
Like, have you got any clue how football works? Because clearly not. You just watched England one day, saw Alessia Russo and thought, I'll be an Arsenal fan. And that's your level. That's where you're at. You turn up every game, and it's the same entitlement to, well, Arsenal are playing and I want to watch them, so I'll take a seat anywhere in that stadium.
Mm.
It's exactly the same, entitlement that they just assume they're Arsenal fans. They can do what they like and they can be where they like, and everybody else must bow down to them and sort it out for them. And it's just like, go away. Honestly, they were irritating the shit out of me yesterday. So I was just like giving it back to a few of them. But I walked away in the end.
There was some talk about why couldn't we have moved it to the Amex?
Mm.
And obviously, I don't think anyone's seriously suggesting that on sort of Sunday at 12 they go, it's wet here, let's go to the Amex. Kind of thing.
I mean,
but I think there was. I mean, some people were saying, well, you knew it was going to. The forecast was rain, so you knew it was going to be raining a lot. So why not switch it? And obviously, the other thing was that why wouldn't you have Arsenal at the Amex anyway? Obviously, this was an FA Cup weekend in the men's games, so until the FA Cup draw was done, sort of mid-January, we didn't know whether the boys would be playing at home this weekend in the event they were playing away at Liverpool, Leeds said. So the Amex was free this weekend. But then again, why would we want to host Arsenal at the Amex? Because they would bring a lot of fans. They might well outnumber us.
Yeah.
And we don't want to give them a home game, really, do we?
Yeah.
So we want to play them at Broadfield where we can create the atmosphere, not them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, and obviously the expense, etc., of Amex games. I think that was a sort of a bit of a non-starter as well. And they could have scheduled it if the Amex, they obviously didn't want to.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's two issues with the Amex. Is if you restrict the Arsenal crowd, then you retain the possibility that it remains a home game, and there are more Brighton fans than Arsenal fans, but then you'll just get thousands of Arsenal fans. Why weren't we allowed to buy tickets? The stadium's empty. Okay, all right, so you bring 20,000 fans down here and then it's not a home game. Why would we do that for you?
Because they're entitled and they're whiny and they're brats, and that's what they want. And so they are Arsenal fans and they should get what they want. That's how they look at it.
Yeah.
It's really, really selfish behaviour from this, and it's not even a small group of them. It's quite a lot of them that have this attitude that, well, it's women's football and we should all be able to sit together and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, actually, some of us don't want to sit with you while you're screaming and shouting.
Not when it feels a bit like an invading force. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, a couple of them who are sort of, oh, I like Arsenal, but I'm neutral. It's like proper diehard Arsenal fans sat in between Brighton fans. I mean, that's also a Brighton issue, which obviously we've spoken about before, about the fact that they're even allowed to even sit in those areas. So you know, that's a twofold problem. That's an Arsenal problem and a Brighton problem, to be quite honest with you. But one of the things I replied back to someone who said, oh, you should have put it on at the Amex, I said, okay, right, so your sort of stance is you should put it on at the Amex because we're a big team and we want it. So what you're essentially saying is that the away team should dictate what the home team does. I said, okay, next time we play you guys, we want to play it at Boreham Wood, because actually, if we're used to playing on a crappy pitch, Broadfield, Boreham Wood would be better for us. So next time, just let everyone know, could we play at Boreham Wood?
Yeah.
Lots of love, Brighton fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. It's not for them to decide. It's for us to decide. It's our home game.
Yeah.
If we want to play it at Broadfield, we'll bloody play it at Broadfield. And if it rains, it rains.
It is that thing, I think, like, if you've been a fan of the men's football, then you kind of understand it. You know, like I'm, you know, as everyone knows, I support Liverpool men's. I can't get tickets to their games, right? You just can't. They're sold out. And that's the same option Arsenal fans have for away games. They are sold out. So, you know, for me, I just go, fair enough, I won't go to this game then. I can't go. I'm not going to go and search around for tickets to go and sit in West Ham's half and sit with West Ham fans and watch Liverpool. Like, I don't want to do that. First of all, I don't want to do that. And second of all, it's just rude. That's a space that a West Ham fan might have wanted. But they are just like, well, you can't fill your ground anyway, so why can't we sit there? And it's like, well, no one would have had a chance, would they? Because you've already snapped up all the spare seats. And it's just that attitude, that selfishness, that they're entitled to your seats. They're entitled to sit in your end of the stadium. They're entitled to take away your atmosphere and make it all about them, just so because they're Arsenal fans and they want to go to the game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I genuinely do feel sorry for anyone who spent money and didn't get to see a game. I genuinely do feel sorry for those people, even if you went on social media and decided to be a bit of an ignoramus afterwards. I do feel sorry for you. But guess what? We're all in the same boat. You know, we all gave up our time, we all gave up our money to not see a game as well, but we understand the reasons why. We wouldn't have wanted to see, you know, one of the Arsenal players get an ACL. You know, goodness knows they've had enough of those. We certainly don't want to see one of our players get an ACL. You know, so there's a safety issue. That's why it is decided by the referee. And again, I have to defer to Tim, you know, Tim Stillman's article. If you can find it on Arseblog, it's a fantastic read, because it reads like an Arsenal fan saying, look, it wasn't a great situation, but it wasn't anyone's fault. You know, and one of the things he said is, if you start saying to clubs, you're going to have to decide at 9 o'clock for a, you know, whatever kickoff, whether the game's going to be on or not, most of them are going to cancel games unnecessarily. Because
about that as well.
Exactly, right. So this was one of the things that I wrote down, is you had Arsenal fans simultaneously saying that they were desperate for the game to be on, and that the game should have been played, and we should have played it however, whenever, you know, to the detriment of Brighton, because they've got such a busy calendar. Well, first of all, Ben, fantastic point about the World Club Championships or whatever it was. Partly the reason why they've got such a busy calendar is because they had to postpone a league game to play in that. That got them, I forget what it was, $1.7 million or something. So, you know, I'm not feeling that sad for them. But the thing is, you had people who were saying, we desperately get it played, we want it played, blah, blah, blah. But then you're saying, no, should have called it off the night before.
Yeah.
Well, surely you give it every chance to be played And by doing that, you have to do a pitch inspection a couple of hours before.
Yeah.
There is never going to be an ideal time. But if you do it the night before and it's rained, guess what? It's always going to get called off because you never know.
I heard somebody argue and go, well, if it's rained that much, surely Brighton should have known and Brighton should have done something and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if it's rained that much and you woke up that morning and you thought, is the chances of this game being postponed or not? Should I bother travelling or should I just take it on the chin for this one and sit at home and watch it on the telly if it manages to go ahead? You made the choice. Every single one of us decided to get up yesterday morning and go to the game. And on the, the hope that it started and it kicked off. It didn't. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
They're posting all over. I mean, the things they were posting, like pictures and videos of themselves stuck in Crawley, as though Crawley's this really terrible place to be stuck in. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're at the bus stop, love. You're getting on a bus. You're not stuck anywhere, are you, really? Let's face it.
I tell you what's next to Crawley, London Gatwick.
I tell you what's in Crawley. You've got parks, you've got forests, you've got lakes. You're already soaking wet. Why not go for a walk? Like, there's a shopping mall, there's the cinema. There's plenty of stuff to do in Crawley if you can be asked to actually look. But you couldn't because you're too entitled. And you, at that point, they were just, we're just going to insult everything about Brighton and everything about this day. And you're just like, that's where you lose any empathy from me. I'm just like, hope your bus broke down and you got stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I took some screenshots. Obviously, I'm not going to say who they're by, but Brighton Hove Albion women, so unprofessional. If they allowed their women to play on a decent pitch, this wouldn't happen. Shows exactly what they think of the women's setup and travelling fans for both teams. But hey ho, everyone will keep sprouting what a good club BHA are.
Yeah,
sprouting. That's where you lost me on that one, unfortunately.
But they didn't mind when they were being forced to play at Boreham Wood because nobody wanted the women's team at the Emirates.
And games got called off at Boreham Wood. Games got called off at Boreham Wood 5-6 years ago before Arsenal put loads of money in. Yeah. We don't have that money.
That's it. They're only at the Emirates because they're lucky enough to have lionesses in their squad that encourage more people to come and watch them. And Arsenal went, "Ooh, there's money in the women's team now. Yeah. Let's build them up." Because otherwise, Arsenal wouldn't have given a rude word about them, and they would still be at Boreham Wood playing on a crappy pitch in a crappy stadium, watching their team. Exactly. They don't see it because it's so entitled.
Yeah. Here's another one. 3 points or refunds must be followed. WTF is that?
3 points.
I get it's better for safety reasons, but this is very unprofessional from Brighton.
Yeah.
Hope Brighton are going to refund the travelling away fans. An hour before kickoff. What about all the travelling fans? It was 95 minutes before kickoff. Just as Brighton owe our travelling fans an apology and money back. This is appalling. It's literally 1 hour and a half before kickoff, and they call it off. This should have been checked in the morning to avoid upset. Absolute W, and then a ship's anchor with a S after it. And the thing is, and Charlie, I'm gonna pop Charlie's comment on here. With the amount of rain, I'm sure the game could have been postponed earlier. I mean, the thing is, Charlie, it could have, but the thing is, both teams wanted that game to go ahead at pretty much any cost. So they left it as late as possible to do the check, because as soon as you do the check, the covers have to come off.
Yeah.
So what they were hoping is they left it, took the covers off. Fantastic. Everything underneath the covers is great. We play the game. Unfortunately, they took the covers off, looked at it and went, it don't look great. And we've got 2 hours till kickoff.
Yeah.
So, there is no good time to call off a game. Apart from anything else, if you call it off the night before, you'll have just as many people saying, why'd you call it off the night before? It might have been all right tomorrow.
If you're guaranteed, if it hadn't rained in the morning, they'd all be moaning, going, see, we could have gone ahead with this. Yeah. But like you say, it's not just them with a fixture pile up. We've got the same. As Ben said, our Chelsea game has already been removed to a different game to fit Chelsea's cup final win. It's, these top 4 teams, they want to be winning everything. These fans want to be celebrating they're winning everything and they're the best and blah, blah, blah. They don't care when it inconveniences everybody else. It's no big deal when Chelsea have had to, sorry, Brighton, we can't turn up on that day. Can you play on a Wednesday evening? to fit us in. That's a pain. We've got to travel from the South Coast up to London to watch them on a Wednesday evening instead. Do we get, this level of abuse?
Yeah. And we'll probably have less away fans there because of it, so that's to our detriment.
Yeah.
It's just part and parcel of the game, unfortunately. And it's just unfortunate. It's nothing anyone can do about it. That although, the Broadfield has had, a couple of games called off in the last 3-4 years, it's been Arsenal both times. That's just bad luck. It's not anything more than that. It's not, like I say, it's not something sinister. Maybe it's the time of year that we always seem to end up playing Arsenal. I don't know what, if that is a better time of the year to have that particular game or something. We always seem to play them in the new year, or early-ish in the new year, or certainly by sort of springtime at the latest. So I don't really know what could have been done about it, and I just sort of think whatever the answer, or whatever answer anyone can posit, you will get people on the other side of that saying, oh yeah, but this, you do it the night before, oh, it might have been okay tomorrow, you do it 2 hours before, oh, they could have told us in advance. It's like you just cannot win at the end of the day. So
if you want us to be playing in a bigger stadium or playing in the Amex or whatever, then maybe here's a little thought. Some of the people that live in and around Crawley and Brighton who are supporting Arsenal should start supporting their local team.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because then we would have more people paying to come to the games, but it would encourage us being able to afford to open up the Amex. But unfortunately, outside of the top four, football teams are not earning the money to be able to have big stadiums open all the time. No. I guarantee Leicester at the King Power and Villa or whatever, and that's not making any money.
No, absolutely not. No, exactly. And it'll be a while before it ever does, really.
Yeah.
And then you worry about the future, concerns for those teams. Villa already sold themselves to try and get themselves out of trouble and sort of refinance and stuff. So, you don't ever want to see, clubs going under, or clubs just simply only being able to sort of stay afloat rather than ever being able to progress or get better, or, because they'll just end up going backwards, because there are clubs like Arsenal who will always outspend them, and we're getting London City now, Man City, Chelsea, Man United are all well established big names with money behind them. I think it's just one of those things. There's nothing anyone could have really done about it. Is it a bad situation? Yes, it is. Do I have sympathy with Arsenal fans that travelled? Absolutely. I met a few really nice ones who I actually went walking around sort of the car park. I had to go out and meet the family over in K2 opposite. And when I was coming back, a few Arsenal fans stopped me and said, oh, the game's been called off. So they were actually like, they weren't sort of like, oh, the game's been called off or anything. They were saying like, oh no, it's been called off. Don't, you can go home or whatever. So lots of people were being lovely about it. It's just, social media can be a bit of an echo chamber sometimes. And if you see one or two people who you follow or whatever, who are saying, oh, well, so-and-so Brighton, so-and-so, the club, whatever. Unfortunately, there are some people who are going to think they're going to jump on that bandwagon, and obviously Arsenal have a big bandwagon. So it just perpetuates everything. So it's not a target at, any specific Arsenal fans. And I'm sure there are a lot of Arsenal fans who, like us, were just frustrated, but they know it was just something that happened. It was unavoidable. It was for safety reasons, not because Brighton didn't there was a few things that were sort of like, oh, Brighton didn't fancy it. We've still got to play Arsenal, we've still got to play. It's not like we get a free pass, like, we still have to play Arsenal at some point, so it wasn't like we were sort of scared or anything. I mean, only as scared as we ever normally are about playing Arsenal for obvious reasons, but it was just, we were all a bit, I think, sort of down in the dumps. We wanted to go and watch a game, and it's been a while since we've been at home. We had that come off that West Ham result where we were all like, I just pretty much frog marched out of the stadium after that. So, I was looking forward to a little bit of redemption, And then it doesn't happen, and then you see on social media and stuff that the club are getting attacked, and you just sort of think, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's the thing. I think, like, I mean, you guys know, if the club's being an arse, I'm the first to say.
Yeah, we don't shy away from criticism.
I do not shy away from criticising them when they get it wrong, and I will always tell them. But this, what are you picking on us for? What are you picking on the club for? Like, trust me, they wanted to play the game. If they got away with it, they'd have played the game, because nobody wants to have this fixture hanging over them. You want this game out of the way, done and dusted, so we can get on with the rest of the season. You don't want to be having to worry about, oh, we've got to wait now, we've got to squeeze them in somewhere, and we've all got to turn up on a Wednesday night to play them again. You know, well, quite frankly, now I hope it is a Wednesday night and it's in between two really big games, and they have to drop a load of players and rest them. And you know, we can thrash them 4-2 again. I'll have that. Thank you very much now, because now they've annoyed me.
Yeah, I must admit there was a little bit of vitriol amongst the fan base of sort of like, oh, you know, the Kevin Keegan. I'd love it if we beat them now. Yeah. I'd love it.
I want to beat them now. I really want to beat them now.
Yeah. So you know, it was what it was at the end of the day. But you know, we'll squeeze it in somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I feel like a season or not a season ago, but maybe a couple of seasons ago, or maybe the year before that, I think Arsenal had to play a fixture after the FA Cup. I don't think they were in the FA Cup final that year, but I think they had to play one after, because they literally could not get it in anywhere else. So there's precedent for that sort of thing being done. But obviously they do like all the last games to kick off at the same time. So that, you know, it's fair and no one has any advantage of knowing other people's results and all that sort of thing. So it will be interesting to see what they do. I would suspect it will end up as a midweek game unless Arsenal get knocked out of the FA Cup quite early. I would like to think that even if they do, we might not.
Yeah, exactly.
But
they've got Bristol City at home, so they might not.
Yes, yeah, I think they'll probably survive that one, but hopefully they could come up against Chelsea, you know, or someone like that in the next.
Interesting that
every single team they play against for the rest of the season now.
Yeah, exactly.
They're playing Bristol City at Boreham Wood, so I hope.
Really? Oh, well, let's hope the pitch is all right. That would be really ironic, wouldn't it?
Let's hope that the Bristol City fans don't, you know, make a real play and say, "How dare you not play it at the Emirates? You should have moved the men's game."
Bristol City.
Yeah, you should have moved the men's fixtures to accommodate us.
Yeah,
we are the mighty Bristol City. Yes. So, I mean, anything else that we want to say about yesterday? You know, I thought all the Albion fans were in good form. You know, we were all soggy and you know, but everyone was sort of keeping an eye on each other, making sure that no one was, you know, having to get home on their own and all that sort of thing. So I thought that was really positive. And you know, we know that a couple of Celtic fans, Caitlin fans, and you know, there's sort of secret Brighton fans too, came down, you know, as they do, to come and see Caitlin. Obviously, in a way, they were going to potentially be disappointed either way, because I don't know whether she would have started. We can't say either way. But, you know, I did think it was lovely. Claire, you might want to come in on this, you know, that Caitlin did come out.
Yeah, I think some of the girls that obviously go to the games with us, they posted on their social media as well that Caitlin actually did turn up and met them all in the Reds bar and spent some time with everybody and had photos done and signed things and what have you. I just think that's just a mark of the woman, isn't it? She's just a decent girl, and I think that's lovely. The fact that she knew people had made a real big effort, and you know everybody's all over social media with you know, a lot of Woman Moy and her paying for drinks or whatever and this, that, and the other, but not one person's mentioned that Caitlin Hayes bothered to turn up and come and meet some of the fans that made the effort to come all the way from Scotland. Not North London and Crawley and outer areas of, you know, the southeast of England where the Arsenal fans travelled from, but Scotland.
London Gatwick.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no one talks about that. No one's posting that all over Girls, Galactico or whatever it is, or
Yeah, no.
SheGulls or all these other footballing heavies that are constantly talking up the top 4 teams. They don't mention that,
Well, and that's the cycle, isn't it? Shannon in the comments said, things like top players going to the top 4 becomes less and less of a competition at this point, and it's just perpetuated by the whole machine, effectively, isn't it? It was all about how it was affecting Arsenal and what are Arsenal going to do about this, and blah blah blah. And it's like, hello, they were playing another team, Brighton, what, the people who let their pitch get soaked and flooded, and it's like.
Well, again, it's like I said about Leicester, that obviously they are definitely world champions. Just like, ask anyone who isn't a Chelsea fan that Chelsea are definitely the world champions in the men's game, definitely.
Yeah.
But to become genuinely world champions, they had to postpone their Leicester game, and Leicester are basically battling relegation now.
Yeah.
They've dropped into the bottom 1. I suppose they're the bottom 3, but they've dropped. They're now bottom of the table. They've got a real fight on their hands, and obviously, I don't think they expected to get anything out of their game at Arsenal, but they've now got to do that on a Wednesday night, which means their fans aren't going to be able to get down there in the same numbers.
Yeah,
I don't know how many would have come down, but I expect it's going to be a lot fewer now. So it's just, again, it's like, oh, great that Arsenal won this great thing, but it's, they've got a bit more fixture congestion in that they've got a midweek game, but now Leicester have also got a midweek game through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
So check your privilege.
And I bet any team, in the WSL, if you said, would you rather have to play an extra fixture in midweek, or would you rather have like £1.5 million or $1.7 million, whatever it was?
Yeah.
I think I know which one most of them would choose.
Absolutely.
So it's just like you say, it's hand wringing by people who just don't quite understand the game. They don't understand the logistics, like we were saying about the Amex. People don't appreciate the fact that obviously that would have been a weekend where a lot of people wouldn't have been working, so you suddenly have to call on a workforce. You suddenly have to have policing. That's what people don't appreciate. You have to have St. John's ambulance, all that sort of stuff, when before, because I take the point about, we knew a month in advance that the Amex would be free technically, but that's a kind of different issue, because I think, like we say, that's more to do with how many people we can get in, whether it's worth it. Sometimes like the pitch needs repairs and stuff, and if they know there's a 2-week gap, that's when they'll do all the repair. Arsenal fans don't know. That would be my point. I'm not saying I know, but it wasn't ever going to be at the Amex. So to start saying, oh, well, you could have just put it at the Amex, especially on short notice, to 72 hours before, is just a total misunderstanding of the logistical aspects. But we would have been playing on a Sunday against Arsenal, who would have brought a lot of fans. You would need extra police. You would need extra people. I personally think we will get another Amex game, but I'm not sure how long it will last, when it will actually happen. Some people suspect it might be the Spurs game, but I don't even know how that fits in with the men's calendar. So we'll see.
I do think as well, at the end of the day, we're Brighton fans and we don't want to play Arsenal at the Amex.
No,
I don't want to play them at the Amex. I don't want to give them any advantage over us in any way, shape or form. They already have that in the superior squad they've got and the money they've got. We don't want to be giving them, should we give you a nicer pitch to play on? Should we give you more space for your fans to cheer you on, drown us out? No, I don't want to see it. I would not enjoy watching us play Arsenal or Chelsea at the Amex at the moment. We need to grow our own fan base, before we even contemplate that.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more. So, one game's been called off, but we've got another game this Sunday. And if it keeps raining, I can't say Dagenham and Redbridge look like they would have undersaw heating or.
I just checked. They did play on Saturday, actually. The Daggers, they won 1-0 at home. I've completely forgotten who against, but they did play at the pitch was playable for a National League South team anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so obviously we'll have a chat about the West Ham game. Obviously, I think it is. I sort of asked Chris Roberts before about how different the FA Cup time might be versus the the league fixture, as it were, and he was a bit sort of coy on it, which I suppose I should have expected in retrospect, because he quite rightfully said we kind of need to see how it goes the first time, and then we might make adjustments accordingly. So I would suspect adjustments will be made. Whether there's any to the lineup, I'm not too sure, but perhaps they'll go and find a bobbly pitch somewhere in Lancing and do a bit of practicing on that. Because he did say, although obviously I think quite rightfully he said that it did hamper the sort of passing game of the Albion, but equally we were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to play of normal time. So he couldn't really say, oh yeah, the pitch was horrible, because we were 2-0 up.
I don't think it had anything to do with the pitch whatsoever. I think the players were slightly exhausted, and they've played a lot of football, and the pitch didn't help. But I think something switches off in their heads, and it's a mindset issue, because this is happening too many times. It's not just that game. If it was just that game, I'd just go, fair enough. It was just a dodgy pitch and unlucky. But it happened at Aston Villa. It almost happened at Everton. If Everton had anyone up front to score a goal, they would have got an equaliser at least, and possibly beat us at some point, because they were able to attack us. We switch off, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was probably, it hampered both sides, to be quite honest with you, as much as it was going to, because I noticed a couple of the ones, their chance in the first half, I think we got helped out by a couple of bobbles and stuff, particularly the Asai one she put across goal. Sort of seemed to get hung up in the mud, and Martinez was she came in a bit too quick on it, and then tried to have to sort of hook it backwards with her left foot and couldn't do it. So I think it affected both teams, but it obviously didn't make for a fantastic game, because I think they like to sort of hit on the counter, but they were getting sort of stuck in the mud sometimes, and their passes were going astray. And then obviously from our point of view, we are a passing team, so it was just quite a challenging condition. So obviously if it's going to be wet this Sunday as well, then obviously that needs to be taken into account. But I think you would like to think that that's what they're doing in the lead up to the game, is kind of what can we do to try and sort of take the potential weather and or pitch conditions out of the game, so that we can still dominate, I would suppose.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think back to going to Man City away. That's a lovely pitch. There was no weather conditions causing an issue then. There's second game of the season. Everybody's fit and healthy. We're 1-0 up, cruising it. Second half comes, switched off, we lost. And what excuse can you use for that? It's just happened too many times throughout the season. They just switch off, and it's collective. It's not like one person is just having a bad game all of a sudden. It's a collective switch off, and you've got to say what is causing that, and how do we stop that happening? Because if we stop that happening, we would probably have another 5 or 6 points in the bag.
Sorry, I was on mute there.
You were on mute.
I was just double checking. I was just double checking the stream again. I didn't want an echo. That's the thing of it, isn't it? Is that we really should be winning these games, regardless of the pitch, regardless of the weather. It's kind of a complete 180 almost on the Arsenal game, where maybe the weather might have helped us a little bit. You never know. They are used to playing on a lovely pitch. We're used to training on a lovely pitch. But maybe it being at Broadfield and a bit soggy, that might play to our advantage. We obviously can't say. But the games when you're playing like teams like West Ham, we really need to be beating these teams on a regular basis, because otherwise it starts to get, we do start to look like relegation candidates. I mean, I know we've got 17 points. I don't think we are going to get relegated, but ultimately, we're going to get a couple more teams next year, and that, in theory, we should be better than them. But you just don't know nowadays. So much money is getting spent. So many teams are getting backing that they never had before. That, like we said before, if we don't move forward, if we can't beat a team like West Ham on a regular basis, we're going to be in and around the sort of bottom 4, 5, or 6 all the time.
Absolutely. And that was my concern when we didn't get a player in the transfer window, and we didn't get the player we needed in the summer when we needed a striker and things. We're now going into the next season competing with more clubs for the leftovers, basically, that the top 4 don't want.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're at. And, at the moment, you're looking at the league and you're going, well, if I'm part of that kind of leftover group of players, Spurs and LCL come above Brighton as a potential team to go to, because I'll at least get paid more at LCL. And I'll probably, Spurs look like a team that's preparing to do something, you know what I mean? So I just think we should have done last season what Spurs have done this season, which is when we held that 5th spot, we should have improved the squad dramatically in January and gone all out to get players and really gone for it. But we're kind of stuck in the middle, not really one way or the other. We're not anywhere near 4th. I'm like you, I don't think we'll be dragged into the relegation zone. I think we're too good for that this season. But I think that's what Brighton have hedged their bets on, that we would be too good to get relegated. We'll wait until the summer when there's a multitude of players out of contract, and we'll see what we can pick up in the scraps.
Yeah, the longer things go on, the more it certainly does feel like that. I mean, I'm just looking at the table now. So Leicester have got 9 points. I mean, I could quite conceivably, Charlie's pointed out, he has got a nasty feeling we could end up with 17 points. I think we might end up with 20, the low 20s. I wouldn't be surprised about the low 20s. But having said that, I think 17 points is probably enough to stay up, which is, not an ideal situation, but it kind of is what it is.
I just looked at Leicester's fixtures, and the only one of the top 4, as it were, they've got is Chelsea. They've played everybody else, so they've got they've got us, they've got LCL, they've got Liverpool and stuff like that. So
we're almost the opposite, aren't we?
Hey,
yeah, we've got 3 of the. We've got
all of them. We've got Arsenal, and United to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, we should be beating Liverpool. We should be beating Leicester. That's 6 points. I don't know. Anything out of the others, I think we've got Spurs. We've got, we basically end the season with City, Man United, and then Spurs. I don't think we get anything from those games, to be fair.
Well, I don't know about the Spurs game. I think
depends whether Spurs have sewn up 5th. If they've sewn up 5th and they've got nothing to lose, we might do them. But I think we need to be getting 6 points at Liverpool and Leicester, and anything else is a bonus. But everything else, it's the top 5 for us for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the Liverpool game is at home, isn't it?
Yes.
So I fancy us to win that game.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll lose it. So that's a point potentially. I think Leicester, I mean, if that was at home, I'd go guaranteed 3 points. But I don't know.
I mean, then your low 20s is out of reach, then, isn't it? They're not going to get it.
No,
really.
I think
unless we get lucky with a top 4 team or a top, or top.
I could see us beating Liverpool, drawing with Leicester, and drawing against one of the other teams, and going into the Spurs game needing 3 points to get near enough our total of last season, or we take a big chunk off it, 4 or 5 points off it.
Yeah. I think if we can get ourselves into gear, I think the one thing I kind of hope is that result last week. I think that shocked even them. I think every single player on that pitch kind of was just shocked. They were visibly upset. It clearly hurt. And I just hope that maybe, just maybe, that was what was needed to turn this mindset around to be like, do you know what? We can't do that again. We just can't. And so I can see us beating Chelsea. I can see us beating Chelsea. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Everton did.
Yeah. I think Chelsea is a team that is pretty much falling apart at the moment. They are just a bit. It's done, that squad. It's at the end of its legacy and it needs a complete overhaul. And I think they're there for the taking if you're brave enough to do it. So it just depends on whether we're brave enough to turn up and play them like we did last season. Because I think if we turn up and play them like we did last season, we'll beat them.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. To be honest with you, I almost feel more confident we could beat one of the top four than I do that we would win against Liverpool and Leicester.
Yeah,
which sounds weird, but
I totally agree.
I feel like one of those is
obviously
a potential banana
Arsenal.
skin, and whereas like one of the top four, we will somehow find a way to kind of to beat them.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Chelsea or Man City or Man United.
Arsenal.
I'm not sure, but or Arsenal. Yeah,
but I think last season we had a feeling that we could beat anybody at home, didn't we? We should have beaten Chelsea. We did beat Arsenal.
We took Man City to the limits.
We really. I mean, Man City got almost like 2 chances and scored them both. So I think we get them down here, and we could. I think there's challenges. There's the fact that we haven't got this number 9 and our number 14 is intermittent. But I think we have got the quality in the squad. So
I'm going to come to the predictions then for the FA Cup. But what I'd also like to hear whilst you have a think about that is how far realistically do you think we could we will go in the cup? So, bad news, Claire. I'm going to come to you first.
Thanks for that.
Well, I think I know what your score prediction will be. So that.
Well, yeah, of course. Because I seriously think we need to go there and annihilate them. We do, for our own, pride. We need to turn up and just blow them off the park. And I don't care how the goals go in, but I want 4. We need to stuff them. Absolutely stuff them and put them back in their place, because they shouldn't have won last week. They should not have won. And, they beat us in the cup. Fair enough. I take that one. It's the cup. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever. But we stuffed them at Broadfield. And we should be doing that at their ground as well. So, yeah, I'm going for a biggie. But, I'm looking at Arsenal going to beat Bristol City, aren't they? Like, let's face it. Chelsea Man U's interesting.
One of the big
going out, so that's quite handy.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Chelsea will beat United and knock them out, and then Chelsea's the easier team, I think, to beat out of the two of them. Manchester City, Sheffield United, can't see anyone but a Man City win. Then there's Oxford and Charlton, so again, you've got the chance of a lower team to play, and Liverpool and Everton, one of them's going to get knocked out. So if the draw is kind, if we win, if we can get past West Ham and the draw is kind, I think we can possibly get semi-finals, at least.
You can certainly see a route there.
There's definitely an opportunity. So it's just whether the draw is kind. Because we're just that team that always gets the bloody big team, aren't we? We always draw the big one. And you're like, oh, for God's sake, why? Everybody else is playing WSL 3 or whatever, and we've got Arsenal. And again, I don't want to play Arsenal in a cup again. I don't want to have to deal with their fans. I don't want them. I want them knocked out in the next round, so we don't have. No one has to deal with them anymore. They can go away and be quiet somewhere.
Come on, Bristol City.
Come on, City. Go on, Lasada.
Go on. Yeah, I mean, the men, I mean, famously, we always get horrendous draws. So, why would it be any different for the women's team, I suppose? So, managed to beat Man United, who are obviously having a bit of a resurgence, but, and then draw Liverpool. I mean, it's just, other teams are playing on, quagmires themselves against League Two teams or, whatever. And, you get the current champions. It just seems to be sod law. So, let's hope. I don't think, I wouldn't say I'm hoping for an easy draw on the basis of, we can only get through if it's an easy draw.
No,
At some point you're gonna have to face a good team, right? It's just you'd rather not face them really early in the competition.
I just want us to be able to say at the end of the season, when we're looking at the scraps for bringing in players, we can say, and we got to the semi-final of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to look at who we played. But, if we can say, well, we got to the semi-final, or we even got to the final and we won it or whatever, that's a selling point for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's saying, we went out in the 6th round or whatever, it's quarterfinals, but, we did play Arsenal. That's a bit of like, so you can't beat Arsenal then. Why am I going to come and play for you if you've got no ambition? You couldn't even get, all you got was that in this. I just think, we want to get as far through it as we can with the easiest games. I don't care. I don't want to be having to fight for 90 minutes to win something 1-0 against, a Chelsea when you could go and play Oxford and win 6-0. Thank you very much. I'm happy with that. That's what I want to see. I'm a fan. I want to be entertained with lots of goals, and we don't get many of them at the moment because we ain't got a striker. So
yeah.
If we can play a club that maybe we might get a few goals at, I'm happy for that.
By hook or by crook, we'll make it. Yeah, exactly. Ben, are you going anywhere near 4-0 or?
I'm going near it. I'm going 3-0 actually.
3-0.
Well, Ben.
And I think, as Claire said, it really depends on. It always depends on the draw, doesn't it? But if we did get a good one, then I think semi-final is not out of the question. And I think because again, actually, I can't believe we didn't really talk about the sort of proposals that they're putting out for sort of reformatting the FA Cup and seeding the top 4 and having the sort of path mapped out. I suddenly thought, I almost wish I had that, but no, I think potentially, obviously, the Chelsea Man U game is brilliant because it's going to get rid of one of them, and I think that's one of the reasons they're looking at these proposals is because they're looking at Chelsea Man United game, but we want that to be like a semi-final or a final.
That could have been the semi-final or the
final.
We
don't want to lose one of the top 4.
They don't want Chatham Town versus Brighton, do they?
Yeah.
We would like that. Thank you very much.
So I mean, it depends. So I mean, say Chelsea knock out Man United, and they might get Arsenal in the next round, and so we get rid. So there's 2 of the top 4 have got.
Yeah.
Because obviously. Or they might get Man City or something, because LCL and Tottenham are playing each other, so one of those is going to go.
Yeah.
There will be at least one. No, there will be at least 2 non-WSL teams in there because of Birmingham playing Chatham and Oxford are playing Charlton, so we might get one of those. So we don't want Charlton again; that was horrible. So it depends. I think we need to have a word with whoever it is that's fixing doing the draw, and get them to pull out some juicy top 4 against top 4 games for the quarterfinals, and let us have the 4th tier team. So I think it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It's nice to have a cup run.
Oh, absolutely.
So
it would also be sod's law that the one time I hadn't yet bought an FA Cup final ticket would be the final. Would be the final that we actually make it.
Well, maybe you are the jinx, and maybe you should just leave it alone. And because what will happen is, if it is, for instance, I don't know, Man United versus Brighton in the final, there'll be a shit ton of Arsenal fans all chucking their tickets back in. They don't want to go.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we would have a designated end with about 20,000 seats.
Yeah.
So I think we'd be all right getting in.
We'll get. We haven't built up the away support that much yet.
No. Although, how many people would that? I mean, apart from anything else, Dario has talked about how he wants to bring silverware and all that sort of thing. But I mean, what a brilliant way that would be to kind of draw in a big crowd and then desperately try and keep them.
Well,
you know,
I
as
think
we go forward.
that's where the club has to get really savvy at some point, because I think if we did get to the point where we get to a cup final and suddenly 20,000 people come out of the woodwork all wanting to support Brighton women at Wembley, you have to be doing something that tries to at least keep hold of 5,000 of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And keep them coming back.
Mm.
And that means really putting some money into the marketing side of things and really getting in there and, I don't know, leave some bloody signed stuff on the seats for everybody or whatever it is you need to do to make those people want to come back. But if you just go, oh, that was great, 20,000 people turned up, thanks, and then let them go, then it's all pointless, isn't it?
Maybe they should do an offer. You're guaranteed a ticket to see them play in the FA Cup final at Wembley if you buy a season ticket to next year's WSL.
Yeah, why not? Something like that. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Let's get these. You know, that's what we have to be doing. We have to be taking advantage of every little win that we have.
Well, and another reason why we need a strong squad, because we are not going to make finals more often than not. You know, I know obviously we want to be positive and we're not out of the FA Cup. You know, hopefully we do go far. Hopefully we win the whole flaming thing. But, you know, if we don't, then one of the things you could point at is obviously the lack of investment, you know, in parts of the squad. So to kind of have this occasional thing of like, well, we're just sort of sitting out this year to kind of see what happens next year. And, you know, and I've said it before on the podcast, at the very, very early days of SheGulls, when I was talking about it with Joe from the fan advisory board. A lot of our listeners will know Joe very well. You know, she said to me, and it still rings true today, we feed off what happens on the pitch.
Absolutely.
If what's happening on the pitch is not getting people going, if we're not scoring goals, if we're not winning games, there's not a lot you can do to keep people, because that's not what people want to see.
Drums you bang, it's not going to get people interested, and that's the point. You know, we can only do our bit, but the club has to really start doing its bit to encourage new people to come. And I think at the moment, I think we'd all agree their marketing is a little bit lacking. Whether that's a budget reason or they just don't have the expertise, I don't know. But you're not going to grow anything without putting yourself out there and showing the world that you exist. Because we've got plenty of Arsenal fans, as we said, in Brighton. They go to the Crossbar and watch Arsenal play. They're not watching Brighton. Like, how is that happening?
Yeah.
You've got a WSL team in that town and people are choosing to watch another team over you in a pub in your town. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true. Even though they have now got a Brighton Hove Albion shirt.
They have got a Brighton Hove Albion
displayed
shirt.
very nicely in there. So we were pleased to see that. We'll have to get ourselves down there at some point, show our faces and show our support. But they, to be honest with you, I'm not sure they need our support.
I think you need theirs, to be fair. I think they would help us.
But again, should we do a feature for the podcast? They might like the publicity.
You know,
we'd almost be detracting from it.
You look at that though, and you're like, they literally started marketing that 5 months ago.
Yeah. And
look at how big they've built it already, and that's what you have to do. And Brighton just doesn't seem to want to do it. And I don't understand why, because there are people in Brighton who love women's football who, you know, they could have persuaded to come and support Brighton, but instead they've picked a different team.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just to, you know, without wanting to, you know, add another half an hour to the podcast, but you know, I just think they need to be a little bit more front-footed. I think they need to take a few more risks. I understand why they don't with the Premier League and stuff, and obviously their hands are sometimes tied. But the WSL at the moment is crying out for creativity. It's crying out for something different. You know, so I would like to see Brighton be an innovator in women's football rather than wait to see if everyone else has done it okay and then decide. You know, it feels like Brighton as a club should be one of those teams who does something and then other clubs go, oh wow, you know, like the sort of vaunted success of the men's recruitment system. It was like, oh wow, Brighton are incredibly well run. They don't lose money. I mean, I think they did a chart of like the last 10 years or something, the net and Brighton were the only one who have made any money at all. That includes Brentford.
And that's all great. And I totally agree with what Paul Barber said in his, I don't know if you saw it, he replied to somebody's email who was moaning about the men's team. And he said, if it existed for 123 years or whatever, and for 113 of them, you were crap. Like, what are you expecting? You've had 10 years of actually being in the top league, not fighting relegation, not being, worrying about whether we're going to get chucked back down again. But you've enjoyed European football, and you're moaning because we've had an off season. And it's like, we're fans, so we're all going to moan. That is what we do. You know what I mean? Because we all believe our team is the best.
Yeah.
But
that's what I think though, is that we had this sort of ethos, we had this mentality that did us very well, and other clubs looked at us and said we should copy that. And actually some of them now have caught up and arguably might have overtaken.
Yes.
But at least we were there and we did it in the first place, and it had its run, and and it's made the men's team as successful to the point now where maybe we're not quite as advanced in terms of our thinking as we used to be, but we're still not in a relegation fight. We're still okay, that sort of thing. And I think that's what the women's side could do with a dose of.
It's that thing of you can stabilise to a certain extent, but then you have to make a decision. Do we want to kick on, or do we just want to stay here and be, a team that just sits in the middle and doesn't really do anything? But we're not going to get relegated. We're never going to win anything, but people will still come, and because people won't come anymore. This is the point. Yeah. People will look at it and go, well, I can just get on the bus and go up to there, and I can go here. And in the men's game, there's a lot more choice to where you can go and watch football than in the women's game. And so, do Brighton want to be a top WSL team or not? They have to make a decision. Being one is going to require hands in pockets and spending money and maybe not making a profit for a few years.
Yeah, and I think that you can be a mid-table club, and I actually think fans would be okay with that if they feel like they're getting other stuff in return. Like, like when we turned up at London City and they gave us hot chocolates and scarves and things like that. Yeah. I'm not saying we love a freebie, but I mean, we do. Who doesn't love a freebie at the end of the day? But it's like, I think if we all felt really valued as fans, if we had like, really great atmosphere at the ground, if we had state of the art, I've talked before, can we not get some LED boards, portable LED boards? I know they make them. Let's get them up at Broadfield. You just bring them up there for the game, take them back to the warehouse or whatever afterwards. Make an atmosphere, get fireworks going off, do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, we lost, but we all feel good about ourselves. Yeah, we had a great time. It was unlucky we lost, blah blah blah. But it's like, when you sort of feel like, I'm kind of here really gutting it out for the team, and then the team gut it out for us but ultimately lose, you're just kind of it's almost like a double blow. It's like, well, I've kind of come and supported, and that's okay, but nothing special. And then I've kind of seen the team and they're trying very hard, like, no one's getting away from that, but we're kind of mid-table. It's like, where's the bit that you look forward to? Where's the bit that you say to your friends, come see this, or come see that player, or whatever it is? You need something to draw fans in. I think if it's not going to be us finishing in the top 4, then they need to be seriously looking at other things that will draw fans in and make them feel valued.
Yeah, I mean, the fan zone, it's dire, isn't it? It's dire. It's you've got people with uniforms on that say they represent the club, standing there miserable as anything, don't talk to anyone, not interested, want a flag. How many bloody flags have we got to have? Like, have they not run out of those yet? Like, how many did they bloody well order? Because I must have 50 of them.
There's a couple of shipping containers, isn't there? As we go, I think they must have the all flags.
Yeah, stop ordering the bloody flags. Nobody wants one anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just hand something else. That day they handed out the Fran poster. That was brilliant. Everyone was like, I want that. You know, it got everyone talking. Everyone was hanging around, hoping Fran would sign it and things like that. And it just like, just do something like that. Just do something different. Like, and it's not like you have to pay for it. If your marketing team has got anything about it, it will be finding sponsors. It will find people who will pay for these things for you. You know, like we literally play in Crawley, which is next to Gatwick, which has so many of the biggest companies in this country. EasyJet. You sure EasyJet don't want to do anything sponsor-wise for Brighton? Really?
We're sponsored by British Airways, actually.
Well, okay, so you can't use EasyJet then, but you can. There's other. Do you know what I mean? It's all the banks are there. Everyone's there, but you've got American Express, so it's a counter thing there. But you can find someone, surely. Pizza Hut, anything. I don't know. Just someone.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
someone you'll pay a small budget just to print off some bloody posters, or pay for a couple of players to sign some stuff, and you know, some shirts and chuck them out, and like say, like LCL did with the shoot them into the crowd kind of thing. It's just yeah. It's so like they're asking us to keep building the atmosphere, to keep, you know, turning up for away games and telling us how wonderful that is and great, thank you for coming and thank you for, you know, the band and all of this lot. And then they got some kid in an anorak standing there going, want a flag? Want a flag? It's just like...
Let's not have a go at the kids. They gave up their Sunday afternoon for us.
Yeah, it's the one. It's the older ones that are probably the most. I
think if they'd done fireworks yesterday, it would have been the literal damp squib, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, when they took a picture of the stadium, because of course the club did the usual sort of ill-fated tweet about an hour before kickoff.
Where are you watching the game from?
Fans. I noticed that the box things that they have the flames coming out of were like covered in like plastic. Sheeting and stuff, so they probably had a bit of a suspicion there, but it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? And we do have to keep bringing it up, because I think if we stop, then it feels like that we've given up, and that's what being a fan is about. You know, we live for the day when someone hears what we're saying and wants to do something about it. So hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. The FA Cup game, then. I mean, so we've got a 4-0 and a 3-0.
Yep.
I do think we'll win, but I think it'll be scrappy again. I think I'm going to go 2-1, but I think we win.
Yeah.
And then we just pray for a good draw. To be honest with you, I think more importantly, I like a home draw.
Yeah.
I like to avoid the big teams, because obviously, like we've discussed, we would there are a couple who we wouldn't, or one or two we wouldn't be able to play because they're playing each other. So that helps. But if we could avoid the top four but get a home draw, I'd take that. Because it's just nice not to have to keep going on these away days. And
I mean, I
do like an away day. But not to like West Ham, I guess we could feasibly get like another team we've already played away, and I don't know if like Everton are still in it. And
I think the issue is that they generally will be played on a Wednesday night, potentially, isn't it, rather than a weekend? They're not all played on the weekend.
No, it's weekend. It's the 5th.
Is it?
Sunday the 5th.
Then I think we can go for an away one. But it would be nice to just be the bigger, the home team for a change.
I feel we've got a better chance against a Spurs or a Villa or a whoever it may be at home, because I do think that although our home record hasn't been fantastic this season, I do generally think we've played better at home and probably been unlucky not to get more points at home than we have away. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But yeah, I'll go 2-1 to Brighton. I think we get through, and I think the same thing, to be honest with you. I think we could get through to the semi-final. And again, I think if we avoid Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, I could see us getting into the final. I couldn't probably see us winning the final, but you got to get there.
I mean, a cup final is a cup final, and we all know how that goes. Wimbledon won it, so if Wimbledon can win a cup final, then so can we.
You never know. You never know.
Wash my mouth out. Crystal Palace won it last year as well.
I mean, it'll really pee off all of them at the FA if Brighton won an FA Cup, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Although you'll just get the misogynistic Palace fans saying like, "Oh, it wasn't the real FA Cup; it was the women's one."
Yeah, that's all right.
That's easy to win.
That's all right. We don't care.
Yeah. Get ready.
Yeah.
For hopefully you will all be able to see this. Bear with.
Ben on the ball, Ben on the mic, talking women's football every day, every night, from the first big tackle to the last late goal. Ben's got the game, Ben's got the soul.
The game and
a little jig to that.
Oh dear.
Honestly, it's
I didn't. We can't hear the song there, and I listened back and I thought, oh no, I didn't realise there was music as well.
I love it.
Okay,
song now.
It's your own. It's an original song written for you, Ben.
Yeah. I'm just gonna crack on here. Yeah, the loan. I mean, there's not an enormous amount of the loans because obviously there were games postponed and stuff, but there have been exciting action in Sweden. It was in Portugal because Melina played for Hammarby against Sporting Lisbon, and they won 1-0 in their away leg. That was Wednesday the 11th. So the second leg will be at home in Hammarby on the 18th. So yeah, I mean, again, it was one of those ones where I think she did make a pretty good save actually, but didn't have a lot to do. So I think when they have it the other way, I think Hammarby will be looking to put more of their chances away, and it should be more comfortable. Again, sticking with Scandinavia and Sweden, the OG, Olivia Garcia, scored on debut for AIK against Gefle, which I think was in the Swedish Cup. But they won 2-1. I think it was a game they dominated, but Gefle, I think, got an early one and sort of shocked them, and it took a while to get back. But just one of those ones. It wasn't the prettiest goal, but there she was making a nuisance of herself in the 6-yard box and put it away. So nice one, OG. Plenty more of that, please, especially when you come home. And then, maybe back to the UK. Evie Milner, who we've sort of got whatever sort of dual registry thing with Pompey, celebrated her 19th birthday. I thought it was her 18th actually, but Charlie of Comments fame actually corrected me. I didn't realise she was as old as that. But she played the second half for Pompey up at Newcastle, and unfortunately they got beaten 2-0. She did play pretty well. I always say that about our players, but I think she did actually, even though she was on the left. But yeah, they lost 2-0, so they are now still bottom. But it's only on goal difference for Ipswich. Ipswich have got 2 games in hand, but that kind of often means that's just 2 opportunities to make your goal difference worse.
It's possible.
So hopefully Pompey can pull themselves out of that. And that's about it, actually, playing wise. I mean, Jess Pegram was an unused sub in the Scottish Cup. Rangers beat Partick Thistle 8-0, and I think obviously she's being rested because it's a cup game. They didn't necessarily need her. It probably should have been more than 8 actually. Again, Livia Johnson had no idea whether she would have featured at all because the Forest game at Sunderland was postponed. And Libby Bantz, again, I don't know because she doesn't really do the socials and nobody's reporting it, but she again wasn't in the Birmingham squad this evening, Monday evening as we're recording. They got beaten 3-1 at home by Palace, so it looks like, I don't know if the wheels are coming off Birmingham or something, but they're now only a point in front of Palace, but a long way behind Charlton now. So that's about it. I mean, and the other news, Emily Gay has been in Spain with the under-17 England squad. Obviously, they'd beaten Mexico 1-0 last week. This week, they played against Norway, but she didn't feature. Unused sub again, but obviously, they rotate. They rotate a lot in the under-17s. But they drew 0-0 with Norway and then won 5-4 on penalties. But then their third game, which was scheduled for the 14th, was cancelled because of the weather. So it wasn't just Crawley, actually, Arsenal fans. And it actually was pouring rain in Lisbon as well when Hammarby were playing. So the weather in Europe at the moment is terrible. And unfortunately, the other bit of news, the under-19s were in the Sussex Cup quarter-final at Saltdean, and I think a lot of us were quite confident about that, but they seem to have been beaten 5-1, which is quite surprising, actually. In a way, it's you could say, okay, well, Saltdean's a senior team, that's why they beat them, but that sounds like a lot. So I don't know quite what went wrong. Although obviously there would have been a lot of the academy players at Crawley. Would have been sort of the Taylor Warrens and stuff, and obviously Emily Gay was in Spain. So they might have been a bit short of their usual experience. But so that's a bit of a shame because they got to the final last year. I think we were hoping they would do again.
Yeah, I saw the lineup, and there were a few names that we would have heard of, but they're normally augmented by a few more regular faces that we see. And they weren't on this occasion, so that suggests that a few of them were either on the bench or on call or whatever for the first team squad. So I read the match report. It essentially said that it was a harsh scoreline on Brighton. I think they actually went 1-0 up, and then Saltdean got a penalty, got it back to 1-1. And then apparently it was sort of quite even for a while. And then towards the end of the second half, Saltdean kind of were able to sort of turn it on a little bit and got a few goals in quite quick succession. So I don't know if it was just a little bit of fatigue.
Not just a first team issue then.
No, quite possibly not.
No.
Well,
again, I mean, in a cup tie, if you're behind, there's no point
exactly.
just losing 1-0. If you're going to lose, you're losing.
You go for it,
exactly.
So they, and I mean, again, Charlie in the comments says Saltdean are above their league level. Obviously, are they still coached by Kayleigh Barton?
I think so.
Our alumni.
She's got a few hats, I think, but one of them is Saltdean.
And he says Taylor Warren played at Saltdean. Is that when she was a kid or something like that? But yeah, I mean, obviously they must be pretty good, and yes. Kirsty Barton. Kirsty Barton manages them, so Kayleigh Barton coaches. I don't know. Anyway,
I think it's Kayleigh.
Yeah, I think so. Kayleigh was there anyway. I don't know if Kirsty's there as well. But anyway, they're a good side. So unlucky academy girls. But obviously they have got.
To go back to Lancing again, isn't it? And have that nice evening. We talked about possibly going up for the PGA Academy Cup to Loughborough. But it would have been nice to have one a little bit more local. We could go along and kind of show our support to the young team, as we have done before, when we've been able to. So bit of a shame, but they seem to be getting plenty of sort of match action and match practice, whether it be in the PGA League, the PGA Cup, or whatever it is, the PGA Plate, not sure what it is, and then the Sussex Cup as well. So I think gone are the days when it was just sort of 5 or 6 friendlies a year and that was all your unders were doing. They seem to be playing quite regularly, and obviously some of them now getting into the first team squad. It's just unfortunate that affects the results of the youth teams. But if I remember rightly, I think I heard an interview with. It was one of the Albion coaches. I don't think it wasn't Mikey Harris, but it was someone like him, or it might have been Gordon Greer or someone who works in the youth setup for the men. And he was basically saying, to be honest with you, the results don't much matter at youth level. It's about getting the players ready to play for the first team. So they won't be too disappointed if they don't win the PGA League or win the PGA Cup. They would, of course, love to, but that's not all they'll be judged on. Whereas, the first team, that's when things get a bit more cutthroat, don't they? So, thinking of them for the loss, but
again, Charlie's clarifying himself. Taylor played the game she didn't play for Saltdean. She played the game at Saltdean. So whether I haven't seen the squad, but I mean, I assume some of them would have been missing. But it's a shame.
So there we go. Yeah, I was thinking of Emily Gay as well, and you covered that as well. So that's fantastic. That's all done, and hopefully she comes back. And you know, I don't know how long it will be before we start seeing some of these players actually getting meaningful minutes. I think they seem to want to give them a season out on loan before they, you know, before they then make the full step up. But I think we could see some of the players in the unders getting professional contracts. You know.
Well, I think, I mean, one of the Brooke Burton seems to be one of the sort of more talented. I mean, she had an ACL. She's only been back relatively recently, but she is, I think, supposed to be going to college in the States, isn't she? So, you know, whether or not how many of them will do that. I mean, I think some of them from the previous lot that were released. I think Lily Murray, the goalkeeper, went to the States, that kind of thing. So some of them will do that. Some of them will go out. And I think that I almost prefer that, as long as they come back.
Yeah.
because they'll go out and they'll play sort of proper competitive sort of American college football, which is better than sitting on the bench at Bristol City.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. We just hope once they come back from the States, they come back. Like, unlike Alessia Russo, who played for us, then went into the States and then decided, I think I could probably go somewhere a bit better.
Yeah.
She's regretting it now, though, isn't she? I mean,
of course.
If you look at her.
You know,
I mean, that's the thing, though, isn't it? The States is, you know, or was at the time, the best place to play football as a woman. So you would have been top of the top to have been playing there in the first place, and then you would have come back to the UK and gone, well, who's the best team to play for? Because I can pick now, because everyone will want me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the collegiate system is obviously a good system to get experience within for a footballer, because there's so many colleges that have like women's soccer teams over there that you really can start for a team and play regularly, even at quite a young age. And obviously you're getting a qualification at the same time, right? So that's, you know, you're doing something worthwhile for your life, you know, in more ways than one, because you're getting a qualification and you're also playing football to a reasonably high level for players who are that age. So I think it's still a good option, but obviously you know, the majority of players will go over there at the expiration of their youth contract. They will then be under sort of like some sort of college registration. So when they then come out of college, they're effectively a free agent. So that's what we were saying about Brooke Burton, is that if she does very well in college football, the chances of her, and she can effectively go anywhere else, choosing Brighton, is, you know, we'll have to see. But yeah, you know, you can't complain about anyone wanting to go somewhere and better themselves, whether it be on loan in this country or abroad. So you know, good luck to them. And you know, we've got I think a really talented you know, PGA under-21 squad. We are near the top of the league. I think we're second or third in the league. We've made the final of the cup, as we've said before. You know, these are not things that we were doing previously. So
it is just now a matter really of these kids taking their chance when they get it, just grabbing it and going with it, because it's not going to happen very often for many. Most kids will filter out of the game, won't they? They'll end up not being professional footballers.
Absolutely.
So if you get into the first team squad, you've probably got to hit the ground running.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, I just think it's nice to be able to see the pipeline, even if, you know, some of those players do eventually fall by the wayside. There wasn't really a pipeline before the last couple of years, I would say. So, you know, even I think, again, when I heard this interview, I've got a feeling it was Gordon Greer now. He was sort of saying, you know, if you get sort of 2-3 players from any one squad up into the first team, that's a massive success.
Absolutely.
Well, I think,
probably in the women's game, it might even be, you know, you could potentially see even more, because it, you know, there isn't the depth of talent from around the world. That
we currently have 2 spaces, so you know.
But I think
there's 2 kids there that could really grab their chances at the moment.
You look at the men's academy, and very often, there'll be announced, so and so, you know, has made the permanent move to Preston North End or whatever. You think, well, he didn't make us a Brighton player, but he's still playing professional football at Preston North End. And I mean, the equivalent of that, I mean, in recent years, you've got like Lulu Jarvis playing at Plymouth Argyle. I mean, they're back soon because she had that horrible leg break last year. You know, that's, you know, it's National League, but it's still, you know, playing
just
decent
at the
football.
moment, the
And
women's
you've got
game
sort
doesn't
of
have as many teams.
various former Albion
Yeah.
academy players at Lewis and things like that, and they're sort of scattered about and things. So they're not playing WSL football, but they're playing proper football.
Mm.
It's not it's not the top level, but they are footballers, which is great, and so hopefully, see, as the levels sort of get more and more professional lower down, then they hopefully be able to make a good living out of it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. That's it. It's just that there's not enough places for them to go at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, once you've only got limited amount of teams in the WSL, WSL2, and then you start going down the leagues a little bit. And yes, you're still playing football, but it's probably not where they want it to be.
No, but
you know what I mean?
But you never know. I mean, Chelsea Ferguson's scoring a few goals for Lewis now. Olivia Carpenter, all those they might catch the eye of a WSL2 team. So and then they can start climbing the pyramid.
Yeah,
because not everybody starts at Chelsea, do they?
It's all about them taking their chances when they get them, regardless of whether that's at Brighton or a WSL2 team or a lower league or whatever. You've got to hit the ground running and show everybody why you're the player to take on, and not the £1 million player that you could pick up from the American League or Colombia or somewhere. So it's going to be getting to be a hard task for a lot of these youngsters.
Yeah, and that that's one of those rising tide raises all boats, isn't it? If the quality of players behind you as a professional footballer right now are getting better and better, you have to get better or you're going to be replaced. So
But I just look at him at the moment, and I think there are two spaces in our squad that if a couple of these youngsters get their chance, they need to really just go for it, because they could be there for the rest of the season. You get a chance to come on and you score a goal, or you play really well for that 10-15 minutes you get, you're pushing then for the next game, aren't you? And you'll be the first one they put on again, and you do that again, and then maybe you get a start, and then you just never know. You might have the game of your life, and the manager's like, I love you, you're playing every game.
Yeah.
We don't need to buy anyone in the summer. We got one.
Yeah, and from our point of view, I'm halfway through an article at the moment. People might have seen part one that I've written about how Brighton basically need to start building around a core of homegrown players. And the best way to do that without breaking the bank is to promote from within. I mean, they have to be good enough.
Yeah.
But if we could get 2 or 3 players who are good enough to play in the squad, and then add on to them a couple of the ones we already got, like a Maisie and a Hannah. I think Hannah from this season will have to be registered, whereas she wouldn't. She was registered because we needed the quota, but she will have to be registered, I think, from next season because she'll be over 21. I think Jess is maybe 19 now. So if she comes back, maybe not for her first season back, but the second season back, she'd have to be registered. So then you're looking at, are they making the team? Are they making the squad or not?
Yeah.
And I think for the first time in a while, I feel like there could be a few players who turn 2021 who could be good enough to replace the players that are in our squad at the moment.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like I say, it was only ever really Libby that had come up from the academy before, and even she was kind of, she was very good at what she did, but it always felt like if the club were going to bring someone in, they were going to bring them in ahead of Libby. It wasn't going to be Libby's the number one midfielder, and this player's coming in behind. When players like Vicky Lasada came in, obviously Julia, players like that, it was always going to be ahead of Libby. So that's just how it works, isn't it? But I do think that that is something we need to be working on. I think if we can sign a couple, promote a couple, and keep a couple, you've nearly got your 8 right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were on the verge of it. I think we've Tahira Heron, I think before her injury, she was pushing for a start. Do you know what I mean? She was really taking her chances. And you kind of think it just needed a couple more to just be inspired by that as well. Do you know what I mean? To see one of your sort of classmates getting it, you think,
I want to be there. Yeah.
If I just step up a little bit extra for this game, I might get that. And and it's just, that's all it takes is just to have a really good game, and if Evie Milner's having a time of it in Portsmouth, she gets to come back and go, well, look what I just did.
Mm.
You know, you've got to take those chances.
Absolutely. A lot of hope for the academy. So yeah, I mean, as I say, we did make the PGA, I don't know the official title, but it's kind of like the PGA Academy Cup final, beating Arsenal 2-1. So that was a good result. Obviously, these games are played behind closed doors. I think they did put the highlights of the goals on the academy.
Did the Arsenal fans have a moan that they couldn't go?
Possibly. I'm not sure many of them are interested in anything beyond.
They're not lionesses, so they don't care.
No, exactly. Future lionesses don't count. So as we find out more information, at the moment we know it's going to be in Loughborough, and I think we know the date. I think it's sometime in April, I want to say, or maybe I've made that up. It's April or May.
25th. I've got it as 25th.
25th. There we go. Yeah, so
day.
It's the day before we have our game against Man City, I think. So it is feasible to potentially attend, but we don't know all the details yet, like where you get the tickets from, how many people can go, all this sort of thing. So obviously, as we find out more, we'll try and let you guys know, because you know what a fantastic experience it will be for them, and also to have a load of their fans turn up and cheer them on. You know, you've got to think that that's you know, going to be quite motivating for them, and you know, no matter the result, we'll be proud of them. But you know, I can only imagine, you know, anticipating not many people are going to be there, maybe a few mums and dads, and you've got 50-60 Brighton fans chanting from minute
be
number
amazing. 1. It's not that far, is it? What, Loughborough's Midlands?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. I mean, if they could have scheduled it with the Leicester away game, like the day
that
before,
would have been perfect. We'd have all had a night over and gone out to Leicester for the night.
I was like frantically looking up on the schedule. I was like, we'll be playing Leicester at some point. Oh, damn! It's like a month before. Oh well, we can't have it all, can we? Can't have it all. But yeah, as I say, when we get more information about that, then obviously we'll pass it on to you guys, and hopefully we can get as many people there as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's going to round off this week's show. Remember, you can find us at SheGulls on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and on Instagram, run by a friend of the podcast, Steve Gibbs. You can find us at shegulls.com, where there are links to all our sort of bits and bobs wherever we are. The links are there on the website for you to find. We are also on Facebook, so you can go ahead and join the community over there. Just search SheGulls Podcast. And whilst you're there, do give Brighton women fans a follow for more Albion chat. I do just want to shout out a few people. Obviously, Ben and Jess are Patreon members. Thank you. Part of your Patreon contribution is keeping the back end of this podcast going with me producing in the background. So yes,
pressing all the wrong buttons in
all the wrong buttons in all the wrong places, especially if you've watched since the beginning. So yeah, a bit of teething problems, but we'll work it out. But yes, you know, to say that we couldn't do it without people like you is actually very true at this point. So thank you very much for your donation. And of course, we've got to give a shout out to our young fan River. He won't be staying up late tonight to listen to this podcast, I'm sure. But if he is on catch up, then good lad, River. Thanks for supporting the Albion. Sorry you couldn't come to the Arsenal game, but actually worked out all right in the end, didn't it? So
right. Go to bed now, River. Go to
bed now, River. Yeah. Good night. So all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you to you, Ben.
Thank you all.
An enormous thank you to you, Claire.
You're welcome.
And this has been the SheGulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed.